The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rise and shine, my sinners. When Father Evil starts his day, he gets a little deadly. Deadly Grounds coffee has the richest, smoothest flavor you'll find anywhere. It's sinfully delicious. Once you go deadly, you never go back. Order yours at getdeadly.com. Coffee's so good, it's scary.
Hi. I had to.
Fuck you, and fuck you. Oh, we are now live on another episode of Dorks the Podcast. If you saw the warning, you know we are not kid friendly. So so I can say bad words and nobody can yell at me. Except for James, because you don't want to have little Harrison hear my bad words.
That is Uncle Leo. We don't talk about Uncle Leo. He's the uncle you bring around Thanksgiving that's like, hey, son, you know that the Illuminati's watching us?
I would totally be that uncle. Yo.
Hey. I have nothing else funny to say. I just had to do that to totally screw up things. So.
Much appreciated. Love it.
Anytime.
Steven's there.
Hello, everyone.
And Brian from Laser Yoga.
Laser.yoga. And yes, I'm here to do your bidding.
Okay, so we are at the dawn of Rise of Skywalker, and early reviews have it being very troublesome. I'm going in tomorrow with hashtag please don't suck. But today we're doing a retrospective of the last two sequels, 7 and 8. And James did a complete rewatch of all the Star Wars movies so far. So he has a new ranking order. And we also want to get your thoughts on Rise of Skywalker. Please, no spoilers whatsoever. We're going to do our best not to pass on any spoilers. And we know
you're going to do your best because you're the only person that.
Don't incorporate us in your Reddit fetish. Like, no.
What?
You spoiled the movie for yourself.
I did.
It's a warning to you. Don't say anything.
It's actually a warning to me because I spoiled it for myself this morning when I read all these trending tweets like hashtag JJ Abrams is over party.
Stop.
Why do you guys do this to yourself?
Leo, do you have like a mute button ready? You can just like mute or mute yourself.
It's difficult to mute somebody. I'm not going to say what the spoilers are, but with the premiere, they said a lot of them have been confirmed. So if you have been reading the spoilers and trying to hurt yourself, So I'm going in tomorrow with high hopes. High hopes. That...
Should we start singing?
I hope you've got high
hopes.
We've all got high hopes.
I have a prediction.
Yeah, go for it.
Billy D. Williams scenes total less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
Don't make me sad like that.
And that's gonna suck. I mean, if it was up to me, it would be 30 minutes. But yeah, they're using him. They're using him.
I've heard. Again, these are just I did a lot of spoiler-free reviews. I didn't even read the articles. I read like people just pulled bits like comments out of it. Well, it's at 58% on Rotten Tomato, which is fantastic. And the one review that I saw that just hurts my soul is this is the pinnacle of this movie is the pinnacle of fan service. And that hurts. Because I don't want a fan service movie. I want a movie. I want a good movie. And everything I've read is basically that it's one big fan service movie.
Fan service backfires 100.1% of the time.
Well, I mean, this actually could be a direct reaction to the last movie, though.
And that's what they're saying is that one of the best tweets that I saw, and it was actually from someone I follow on Twitter. She summed it up like this. Hold on a second. The Force Awakens was a greatest hit remake of the original trailer. The Last Jedi threw out everything that The Force Awakens had fans excited about. And apparently the Rise of Skywalker is the same thing to The Last Jedi. This is what happens when there's no vision and everything is done based on market research. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I know we're going to get into talking about the prequels and where they obviously went wrong, but if you're looking at a trilogy, and somebody made a comment earlier today that I saw, and they worded it perfectly. How can you talk about doing a trilogy and giving each movie to a different writer and pretty much giving them free reign? How can you expect there to be cohesion and a solid story? I mean, they were just set up for...
But I thought Lawrence Kasdan was a writer on all three movies.
I think he means directors, not writers.
No,
I could be wrong.
I went into IMDb and it listed different writers for each one.
Yeah, writers, it should be the same writer. Directors is irrelevant because Empire Strikes Back obviously had different directors. So.
And so did Return of the Jedi.
Well, Rian Johnson, there have been articles about Rian Johnson saying that he didn't care about the fans. He just wanted to do the movie, the way he wanted to do it.
He basically, I can't say what I want to say about him. It would be it might hurt the internet.
Say it. Go for it.
I mean, it came out after the reaction. It came out of the reactions after Last Jedi came out that J.J. Abrams even joked around saying, "I really wish I didn't pass on The Last Jedi." And then when you have the cast of the movie coming out being like, "Yeah, The Last Jedi wasn't really the best movie we've done, so we've tried to do our best to be better this one," like, guys, like that shows right off the bat that you made the wrong decision with some of the choices you made.
Okay, so looking at the sequels, writers for Force Awakens, we have Lawrence Kasdan, J.J. Abrams, Michael Arndt, and George Lucas. For Last Jedi, we have Rian Johnson and George Lucas.
Yeah, but the George Lucas is just original characters, right? That's not an act.
He's not a writer.
Okay, based on characters created by. So Rian Johnson for the second one. And then the third one, Lawrence Kasdan, J.J. Abrams, and Michael... No, that's Force Awakens. What the hell? I'm sorry.
But it is J.J. Abrams and Lawrence. Again, they did write this one.
But he also was consulted when Rian Johnson was writing
the last movie.
So
there's 5 credits for writers. Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams did the screenplay. Story by Derek Connolly, Colin Trevorrow, Chris Terrio, and also J.J. Abrams.
Too big of a party.
So, I mean, going by IMDb, it looks like, for the most part, I mean, J.J. Abrams had a hand in 7 and 9. And then it was Rian Johnson for the middle one. So,
again, though, he did consult.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't get credit for it, but he did have a part in.
Okay. Okay, so let's look at Force Awakens, which I absolutely loved, because you leave the movie with hope that the trilogy is gonna be right, but then it just goes all so wrong. What did you guys think of Force Awakens? Let's start with James.
Luke. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Good.
James.
Okay, I'll start. I enjoyed it. When I saw it on opening night, I was impressed by it. The visual looked beautiful. It felt like a Star Wars movie. It was a decently paced movie. Harrison Ford, again, that was his movie, and I think they did a fantastic job with him. It didn't really feel like it got bogged down. The story kind of moved at a good clip, but retrospectively looking back at it, even when I saw it the second time, I kind of was like, I remember leaving the theater, I'm like, is this A New Hope? Like, looking back at it and then kind of thinking about having conversations with friends, it was like, it was A New Hope, wasn't this? Like, it was just a retelling of A New Hope. And I was like, okay, well, it just doesn't ruin it. It was still good. I still liked the actor. I thought Daisy Ridley was good. Adam Driver as the villain was okay. Again, I left the theaters with more questions, which I liked. I wanted to know, like, who is Rey? Where'd she come from? Why is she on this planet by herself? What happened at Jakku? Like, what happened to the Empire? Because once they said they got rid of Legends, how did the Empire fall? Especially when you see a Star Destroyer just in the desert and her living out of an AT-AT. Tell me more about what's going on here. And especially with the cliffhanger with Luke, when they find Luke finally at the end and he doesn't say anything, but it was kind of left to being like, I remember sitting in the theater and they got to the planet, when they got to the planet, walking up and giving the hand out the lightsaber. I'm like, oh, and then with credits, I was like, oh, come on, like, it was right there. And that just kind of got me excited for Last Jedi. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked watching it. It's definitely, it's got all the good points, and it set the tone for what I thought the sequel trilogy would be.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely set a good tone, and having that mystery of Rey, finding out that she's, very strong with the Force and even untrained, able to take on Kylo. And, obviously having Han back, even though, spoiler, he does die, and Leia, it felt like, the family coming back together, and there's hope that, still, I rewatched the movie again just the other day, and you're left with hope that this trilogy is gonna go right. What about you, Yo-Yo?
My immediate thought was your second thought, that this was just way too much of a rehash. Like, I honestly, it was okay, but I left it a little bit disappointed because I felt like it was just like, yay, look at this. You remember Star Wars? Yeah, it's more of that. Yay. Sorry.
It definitely has a lot of...
I mean, they even call it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's the worst part. Like, they literally knew that they were doing it. They're like, hey, look what we're doing. And then, why?
Well, I mean, also, like, a couple of twists were very telegraphed. Like, very early on, you could see some of the twists coming.
Okay.
Especially when, what was it? 20 minutes into the movie, Kylo's like, well, because of your bloodline and your I'm like, okay, like, thanks for telling me that 20 minutes into the movie. I know who your parents are. Like, not gonna be a twist when it's revealed to me later in the movie, and then when it was confirmed, it wasn't like it was like, duh. You told us an hour and a half.
The most surprising part was his thing being Ben, but
yeah,
that was
Why?
Did you even know him?
Well, technically, there is a character. I think it is Ben Solo or Ben Skywalker that is in the Legends canon.
Steven.
What about you, Steve? What do you think?
When I saw Force Awakens opening night, I enjoyed it. I was excited for Harrison Ford to come back. That was the main reason why I wanted to see it, because I'm a huge Harrison Ford fan. I'm assuming everyone else in this room is. But I knew that, remember here in interviews, he was just like, if I come back, they're going to have to kill me. So I knew the writing was on the wall for that. I wasn't shocked like all the 20 and 30 other people in that theater was when I saw it. I was like, yeah, no shit. But it was good. What I wasn't expecting was the following movie, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
I do have to say that scene that when Han Solo gets killed, I've never heard a theater quieter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Endgame.
you heard
Endgame.
the oxygen get sucked out of the room, but up to that point, Endgame wasn't out yet. Up to that point, that's the quietest I've ever heard a theater.
So for me, it's Endgame. Like literally after that, like no sound whatsoever.
Oh, I had sounds in Endgame. I had a kid crying in mine.
Well, of course you did.
No, I just
We're not talking about Endgame.
And
and it was before I had a chance to have him and his family thrown out, which is
Vicious.
Yeah, Brian.
not gonna ruin from this for me, kid.
Brian, I'm one of those people. I will go to a manager and have you evicted from the theater if you ruin my show watching experience.
It's funny.
What about you, Brian?
Well, that movie made me weep from my childhood memories.
Yeah.
They should have the Daisy Ridley role should have been a tenth of what it was. They obviously should have had Luke as the main character. The writing wasn't that great. I feel like the plot was forced along, like a parent like helping their kid ride a bike, where the kid's like learning for the first time to ride it without what do you call it?
Training wheels.
Pushing the kid without training wheels and just come on, you can do it. And I felt like the people that were writing and directing this movie were trying to push us along. Yeah, this is good. Believe in Daisy. And I didn't believe in her at all. She was a distraction throughout the entire movie. And of course, the fact that they kept Luke for the last scene was, I feel like it was insulting to everyone that had spent, not only their childhood energies, but their money as a teenager and an adult, like buying movies and merchandise and everything, and like living through the saga in their heads throughout the decades. I felt like it was like, here he is, and now he's gone. And I think I don't know, that's what I think. So I ultimately left the theater feeling less human, I guess.
Yeah.
More robotic.
I think it's funny, and looking back on The Force Awakens, and you look back in The Last Jedi, you hear like fan theories and fan like fill in the blanks of what could have been sound a lot cooler than what they gave us. Like, I think Mark Hamill said it the best when he was reading the script, and he was like, "Oh my, a lot of Luke Skywalker." He thought when the lightsaber flew out of the snow, it was going to end up in his hand, and he was going to be there. And it was the Daisy, and he goes, "Oh," and then he goes, "I was on the last freaking page." He builds up all this stuff, like Brian said, and he's on the last page. But like, even when the main actors, like, you had cooler opportunities to have all three of these characters on the screen at one time for the first time in 30 years.
Endless opportunities.
And you didn't do it.
Squandered.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's what Mark Hamill said in interviews this past like 2 weeks. He was like, the one thing I wanted was that shot of me, Harrison, and Carrie in the cockpit of the Falcon going on another adventure.
Yeah.
And they never gave it to us.
And for that, the director should have his citizenship revoked and should be forced to tour the country, hosting conferences on how not to direct a movie. It's just my opinion.
Well, to coin Adam Sandler, they blew it.
Well, so I know we'll talk about Last Jedi, and it's
we have 8 episodes of Last Jedi on like in the archives.
It's okay. So here's a question: are we going to be facing a sort of backlash similar to Game of Thrones if Rise of Skywalker sucks? I mean, No. So Game of Thrones
Game of Thrones backlash.
Season 8, how everybody didn't like 8 because it wasn't the ending that they wanted.
I heard Leo complain about it.
Oh, no. There's a huge army. Matter of fact, I think it was Time Magazine did a piece on the Reddit community where it's like the largest like anti-Game of Thrones community. And
it's Reddit. No one's happy on Reddit.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I heard more of when The Sopranos, like how they.
I heard the ending of Sopranos is worse than this.
Well,
I love the ending of Sopranos personally, but
really,
I got whacked.
Well, for those
it's
not
the same for the ending of CSI too. The 15th season, the final show. I mean, there was backlash for that too.
It's not just the final episode. You're talking the final 2 seasons, and they even delayed it. And D&D just they totally botched it. They were in over their head, and
were they though?
They were. After George R.R. Martin left, they really were out of their depth. You know, they didn't know what to do with the series. They left so many plot holes unfinished, and it's it really killed the I have no intention of going back and watching any of Game of Thrones now, and I was planning on buying the entire series online like a DVD, but knowing the way it ends, I'm never going back to it, and I have no interest in seeing the new show. And there's a lot of people.
The trailer drops for it.
No.
I'm sold. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Game of Thrones.
There's dragons.
Take me back.
He crawls to his altar of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But I mean, do you think that if Rise of Skywalker ends up totally sucking, that is it going to kill everybody's taste in future Star Wars stuff?
No, because that taste is killed with Last Jedi and Solo.
Thank you.
Like, it's done. Like, well, another thing I saw again today.
But we're watching Mandalorian.
You get my point.
Okay.
The reaction was, I saw the Rise of Skywalker. Now I'm going to watch real Star Wars and the Mandalorian. So when basically you have this epic movie that you played up in your head for 40 plus years, the 7th episode of a series that's a month and a half old is better, something's wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of like the CW DC versus cinematic DC.
Actually, from what I heard, it's leaning towards the opposite direction now. It's like the scales have shifted a bit.
Yeah. Definitely with CW and DC, it's definitely it's
maybe they moved the people who did the CW like shows to the movies. I don't know, but this from what I've seen, the scales have shifted a bit.
The student is now the teacher.
So Leo, like the interesting thing about The Force Awakens and what happened after The Force Awakens. Again, Force Awakens, huge shit, great thing. They move forward with the spin-offs.
Yeah.
You go into Rogue One. You watch Rogue One, you're sitting there like, this is an awesome movie. This is an awesome Star Wars movie.
Well,
if this is the direction they're going to move forward with these franchises, I'm on board.
Okay, so Rogue One,
the best Star Wars movie.
Oh, yes. Amazing movie.
Yeah.
because it brought us back to and you know, they with their visual style they matched A New Hope, and it brought you to a time right before A New Hope about you know.
And nothing to do with The New Hope. It was an original story.
But one that we suspected. Somebody had to steal the plans from the Death Star. We knew the basic of the story.
Yeah.
Premised on the crawl at the beginning of
Right.
of New
Yeah.
Hope,
No, and that's what I mean. Like, it's a story in which we didn't need, like, no. This was one thing I always said. No one was asking for a sequel trilogy. No one was asking for Rogue One, and it surprised us how good it was.
Yeah.
It's like the roles were reversed with this and that movie.
Well,
wait, you're saying no one was asking for a sequel to the trilogy?
Like, no one was asking for more movies after Return of the Jedi.
I was.
Yeah, that's not true. What was the one they were talking about making, the dark something crap?
Dark Forces.
No.
But a lot of those movies were based on the books that were already out that had much broader canon.
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire.
Which takes place between episode 5 and episode 6.
Yep.
It's not a sequel to 6. Because you had 15 years, 20 years of lore written in books that made the universe so much more broad and so much more telling. And then what happened? Disney bought it, was like, we're not doing any of that, so that's all going to be retconned, and we're going to make our own thing. That was the biggest mistake.
Yeah.
That was the biggest mistake they made. But do you know why one of the reasons came out was why they got rid of that Legends canon?
Why is that?
Is in the books, Chewbacca dies. Chewbacca dies, and early on in those books, he repays the life debt to Han by sacrificing himself to save Han and his family. So let's get rid of a character who is cute and cuddly, and it goes to the kids. Who is that, other than the droids, is Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So.
Why couldn't the Ewoks sacrifice life deaths, like, early on?
Well, if you ever watch those videos, trust me, when the Death Star came crashing down to the Force Moon of Endor, there wasn't many survivors.
So Rogue One succeeded, and I think it's part because, you know, it added more to a story that we already knew part of. Han Solo failed miserably because it was a story nobody was asking to be told.
I enjoyed Solo.
It was a story that the studios wanted you to ask to be told.
So the difference between Rogue One is it's a story we wanted kind of to know about, but no one was asking for it. So when they gave it to us, we liked it. When they were like, we're going to do something about Han Solo.
Yeah.
But and I said this with the Solo when we did our recap on Solo, was the cool thing about Han Solo was you didn't know him. You didn't know his origins. You could fill in the blank about what he did. I didn't need to see how Chewbacca and Han met. I just knew they met. Well, I didn't need that forced in my face being like, this is what happened.
Well,
like, no, I didn't need that.
And it was.
I don't need to know how Starsky meets Hutch at all.
Well, and it was forced multiple times. You know, you had two scenes like right after another. First was Han, you know, going into the cockpit, and they played the music. Ooh. And then all of a sudden, it was like Chewie came on, you know, into the cockpit, and more music, and it was like, you know, here's the guys that you remember in the front of the cockpit. And it was like, did you really need to make that a huge moment, you know? And I mean, yeah, I didn't like it.
So, I mean, but it goes to a point, going back to Rogue One, is that, you know, so they announced that they're doing a show on Disney Plus that involves the, what's the guy's name?
Ahmed Best.
From Rogue One. No, they're not from Rogue One.
Oh my God, you almost had a heart attack. Someone mentioned Ahmed Best.
Well, they're doing a game show called Jedi Temple.
Oh,
No, not that. I'm talking, Cassian, there we go. In his droid, Alan, they're doing a Disney Plus series around them in the early part of the rebellion, leading up to Rogue One. I'm interested in that because again, you don't know a lot about the early part of the rebellion other than what you see in Revenge of the Sith and leading up to Rogue One, and then they kind of sprinkle in what happens in the books and some of the canon that's out there. So I'm looking forward to that. But with Solo Solo could have easily been like a 7-8 episode arc on Disney Plus. You build the characters, you build this lore instead of just chop scene, chop scene, chop scene, chop scene, chop. Like it was just like chop, 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 chop. Like
just real quick, William Pace is in the chat room. We also have Angela as well. Jack Shipley joined as well, and a couple other people. Stephen Chang joined as well. So if you have any questions or any comments, what are you looking forward to for Rise of Skywalker? Post it in the notes, and I'll get to it. Yeah. Sorry, James. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It was just one of those things. Like I'm looking forward to that more. It's one of those things. I kept saying a lot of times is. I feel like when Disney does something unintentionally with Star Wars, it's a hit.
Yeah.
But when they try to plan it out and overproduce it, it doesn't hit.
Like Mandalorian.
That's true of anything.
You know?
That's true of anything, though.
Yeah.
But I think it's more so with this reign of Star Wars. Between, the Rebels and the Resistance and some of the animated stuff like that. Just I feel like, yeah, it's planned out, but they never. I don't think anybody thought those shows were going to be as big of hits as they were.
Lance, just a heads up. I hid your comment. No spoilers, please. No spoilers in the chat room. So, Last Jedi. Where did it go wrong?
Everything.
The director, script.
Yeah.
It got to a point, Leo, and everybody. Me and Jen started to watch it last night, and I literally had the remote next to me, and I fast forwarded through every part that wasn't Luke and Ray.
I forced
because that movie should have been Luke and Ray.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was their movie. That was, like that had to be that movie.
Total. I forced myself to rewatch it. I didn't fast forward to it, so I agonized over it, getting ready for tonight's episode. And why the hell kill off Luke like that?
That's what took me out of the theater. That's what pissed me off. Was
It's
okay.
Abuse.
Yeah. You're insulting my intelligence there, and the thing with Leia, that insulted my intelligence too.
Just can you make sure that got deleted? Right.
You don't want her space flying,
No,
Mary Poppins.
No, absolutely not.
Comments.
Leo, there's a comment you got to delete or hide.
Can you make sure it did get? Because someone just said that they can still see it.
Okay, Angela. I'm sorry, it's not showing up for me anymore. I'll refresh. I'll try to see if I can find it. I did delete it. You might need to refresh your screen, Angela.
Facebook needs to get their shit together. That's
They
not
do.
cool. Like, should be able to just hide, or remove a comment and have it actually removed.
I also blame Kathleen Kennedy a lot for what happened in these movies.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, look at Han Solo or Solo, where they had the movie completed, and then they did a complete reshoot with a new director, and the best part of the movie is the one damn scene they kept from the first cut of the movie, and it's when Han first met Chewie, down, and he's supposed to be like this big monster, and best scene of the movie. The rest of it sucked. Why do they have that issue where you don't like the direction of the way a movie's going? Okay, let's completely scrap it, start from scratch. But you got a limited budget now because we spent all the rest of the money, during the first run.
That movie should have been shelved the second they fired Lord and Miller.
Yep.
They should have took the loss on it and just buried the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and because of that, we didn't get our Kenobi movie, but the plus of that is now we have a limited series that's going to be 6 to 8 episodes long of Obi-Wan Kenobi with Ewan McGregor. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yep. So Brian, where did Last Jedi hurt you?
Where on the doll?
Show us
You want me to use it on the
Where
doll?
on the Ewok did it hurt you? Was it here? Was it here? Was it here?
You know what?
Oh my!
You know the expression,
Brian-
like
Brian,
that-
you're in a safe spot. The Ewok is your friend. No one's judging.
Oh no,
He
no!
does not judge you.
All I can see is Daisy, and it's like it's in my brain. I can't get her out of my head. She does not belong in that universe. It's like a stone in my shoe. That's all I can say. That movie was a stone in my shoe.
Okay. So you
Use a stone in everyone's shoe.
Is it though?
I kind of liked her. So do you?
Why is she always squinting? Why is she always squinting?
She's British.
She's always squinting and like. What is that
Finn
about?
does the same thing. The Brits squint for some reason. I mean, I know it's cloudy all the time, but maybe it's when they see sunlight they're like, ugh.
And the whole bandage arm thing gets me too. It's like, come on, you can think of a better costume than that.
Again, I see. It goes back to Captain Kennedy.
Okay, okay, and
Someone
did-
needs to approve this stuff.
And
Okay.
to be honest, I created a nickname for her. What is it? Bandage Squinty McBandage or something like that, and just for me, my own amusement.
So I mean, they give us this big baddie of Snoke that gets like totally obliterated at the end of the movie. Like,
Not even the end.
yeah, not the end.
Not even the end. He like 2/3 of the movie through.
Yeah.
That's what perplexed
movie-
me. Before Rise, I'm sorry, James, but right after right after Last Jedi ended, and I walked out of the theater, I'm just like, you haven't even announced 9 yet. We're like a few years away from 9. You kill the primary guy. Why don't you save
So
him?
was he
for
the
9?
primary guy?
Right.
Yeah, that.
But we didn't know that yet.
I think that was the point of killing him, though.
Right. I'm just like, it was.
But I do have to say, it did give us probably one of the most badass lightsaber battles in the saga.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
Also, physics, but
Also, Canto
Wait.
Bite.
Am I the only one that thinks that the Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul and
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, then all three of them, that three-person light, I think that was the best one of the whole series, I think. Just because
It doesn't help that it had probably the most epic soundtrack going for it as well with Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
I think the set was amazing. The lighting and the scope of it was it created this ultimate setting for the ultimate saber battle. And I think they did that. They should have just basically edited the movie down to that, and I think it would have been great.
What about you, Yo-Yo? What was the worst parts of Last Jedi? Where did Last Jedi hurt you?
I mean, the only thing I really didn't feel was needed is the scene on the planet, where the gambling planet. I understand why, because it's meant to show that while this is all going on, there's people profiting off of it. I don't need reality in my movie, though. That's my thing. Like it's supposed to be my escape from reality,
Yeah.
and it shoved reality on my face that people are profiting off of other people's pain.
Well, after my rewatch the other day, and Finn goes, after they free those horses, and they're about to get caught, and he goes, "Well, at least it was worth it." So it was worth it to free the horses and then not succeed in saving the Republic or the Resistance. I mean, that's why
Or
they
the
were
kids
there.
that were in slavery, it looked like.
Yeah.
Sure, let's save the horses, not the kids in slavery. Got it.
And the whole not Oscar Isaac, the not the smuggler, who the hell was it? The guy the traitor.
Benicio del Toro.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. I mean, like, how the hell did he? I mean, he was with them the whole time. Did he like sneak off to the side and like call the First Order and say, "Hey, I'm coming"?
I mean, he was the keymaster. He was looking for the gatekeeper. I mean, come on. Oh, I am the keymaster. You the gatekeeper. I mean, with his stutter, I mean, it would just be a little upgrade to what he was doing with his stutter.
Yep.
I got asthma. Who does your taxes?
Steven, any other words for Last Jedi besides?
Where did it hurt you, Steve? Where on the doll did it hurt you?
Turn it around. Right there.
I feel like the odd man out because I actually did like the movie.
And
I admit it had some issues, but I did enjoy it a bit better than the first one because I felt the first one was just way too much fan service.
Get ready for that and triple.
That makes me sad. I don't want more fan service. I want I think I got spoiled by Rogue One because it was such a fresh story. I would like some kind of fresh story.
So I just have to preface going into the next couple weeks, you know, we all enjoy going to the movies. We all enjoy, you know, sitting in the dark with the big screen, with our popcorn, the whole atmosphere of the event. I remember thinking, oh my God, I loved Last Jedi afterwards, but I was a little confused, you know? But then in retrospect, you know, looking back at it, I didn't really care for it. I loved the event. I loved going to the theater and enjoying it in the atmosphere. So hopefully I can look back at Rise of Skywalker and in a good light. Hopefully. Hashtag please don't suck.
I really feel like I'm the only one here that actually did not mind that movie.
Yeah.
I left. So that year, I left 2 movies in shock. I watched Last Jedi, walking out to the car, being like, "What the hell did I just watch?" And it took me a day or so to process it. Compared to when I watched Infinity War, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yes.
Like,
there are groups that you can join to help you with that.
I have my Ewok, okay?
I'm sure Captain America runs one of them, but that's beyond the point.
That's right.
There are some, very rarely, there are movies that I walk out of. Last Jedi, I was this close to walking out.
So
very rarely do I pay to see a movie twice in theaters. Last Jedi was one I did. Sorry.
Billy Baird is asking, does any of you read Star Wars books? He's reading one called The Crystal Star. Pretty good so far.
I read a lot of the older stuff. My still best one is the Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah,
is awesome. Those are one of the 3 best books for the whole series.
That's
I've also read Courtship of Princess Leia, which is really good. Darksaber, you know, that kind
Shadows
of stuff.
of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire. So
I don't read recreationally.
Do you read non-recreationally? Do you just read for torture and, you know, pleasure?
Read for.
If the Cenobites get you, they're like, "Would you like pleasure?" They're like, "Here's some books."
Yeah, I thought
good.
so. I know that sounded familiar. That you said you read the older book. That is an older book.
Yeah, I like the older books. I've tried to read the new books.
The Crystal Star is an older book.
I'm not saying that. I don't know if it's an older book or not.
I'm saying the Crystal Star is an older book. I'm pretty sure I read that at one point. And yeah, because I haven't read any Star Wars, besides the comics. I haven't read anything in a while, any of the books. So I was like, why does that sound familiar? Because that's an older book.
I do have to say the new comics are pretty good. The ones that are canon. The classic ones were good too. I mean, when we were kids, we sucked up everything Star Wars, you know.
I mean, to go with.
just for the hell of it, I had a Star Wars retro game night last night. I pulled out the.
Yeah, I saw what you pulled out. Like, I was very pissed off at you what you pulled out. It
Hey,
wasn't
guys,
as big as I thought it
keep
was
that
going
off
to
the
be.
show.
I have the
Super-
ROMs if you want.
No, I have them. I'm okay.
So for those,
So I saw
listening-
those, like, oh, they're originals.
yeah, for those listening, I was playing the Super Star Wars trilogy. I just
Which is considered one of the hardest 3 games on the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and apparently he finished it in one night because it's
No,
because he's a
I-
show off.
No, I didn't. I was just.
You should have just roll with it, man. Roll with
Yeah,
it.
all right, I did.
I love Yo-Yo gave you a compliment and Steve's like, I didn't do that. Like, sure, yeah, you know I didn't.
Did you see my comment about the NES versions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the Famicom one, yeah.
yeah.
Scorpion?
I had
Yeah.
both of them, and I'm pretty sure the Famicom one was completely different.
Well, Limited Run Games just re-released a whole bunch of Star Wars games earlier this year. They re-released the NES versions of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back and the Game Boy version of Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Then they re-released Shadows of the Empire on N64, which I picked up. And they re-released Star Wars Bounty Hunter for PS4.
Oh, wow.
Didn't they also do TIE Fighter, too?
No, that's coming. That's coming. But
You know-
LucasArts was really good.
yeah.
Yeah, what you know what they need to do is they need to take the reboot of Battlefront, and take out the multiplayer, replace it with the AI, and give us an.
I have to say that the Battlefront 2 updates they've done has made the game more enticing for me.
I'm boycotting EA.
Oh, dude, you got to play Jedi Order, man. Once you play Jedi Order, you'll rethink that.
Stop it. Angela says, do you guys have the book called Star Wars Year by Year, a visual chronicle? I'm just missing 2 prints and the cover. Got it at my library bookstore along with 2.5 bag full of comics. Oh, wow, nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Does the library know that you took them?
They do if you sign the card. Actually, it's probably not cards anymore, right?
I signed everything in Leo's name, so I mean.
Oh,
You too?
Oh, everything's in Leo's name and my name. Oh yeah, Leo Pond.
oh yeah.
Party too.
Okay. So did I torture you guys
His
enough?
email is leo@leopond.com. Just if you want inquiries.
And the password is no. Okay. So again, Rise of Skywalker. Please don't suck. So Last Jedi. Who didn't talk about Last Jedi?
I mean, Leo, I think you didn't give us your input on Last Jedi.
It was torturous. The whole.
Thank you.
Yeah, the whole. You know, like I said, you know, my initial review was I liked it. It's Star Wars, and getting out of the theater, I was a bit confused, but it was just, you know, hey, it's Star Wars, happy fun times. But now rewatching it, and it's just it's lousy. I mean,
Is it though? I mean, it's not great. I will give it that. But I do like what they attempted. They failed at it, but I do like what they attempted.
Yeah, I'm not saying they took a risk, and the risk didn't pay off.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're not telling a good narrative between the Force Awakens and Last Jedi.
Yeah.
The narrative was crap, and the one thing that helped you between the original trilogy and God forbid the prequels is you had a fucking narrative. You knew where point A was and you knew where point B was, and how. The question is, how are they going to get there? You had no idea what B was. You had no idea. It just seems like it was like, here's A, here's B, and it's like, whee! Like it just.
It was the manatees choosing plot lines. like on
Oh,
South
good
Park.
Good South Park reference. Yeah.
So imagine you cut up a wound, you open a wound, and you put in a big Band-Aid on it. So imagine The Last Jedi is the wound and Rise of Skywalker is the Band-Aid.
Or
Imagine that Band-Aid covered in salt and acid.
exactly, yes, right. It could either be the Band-Aid or the salt.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that Lucasfilms and Disney and everybody from it is trying to distance themselves from Last Jedi.
Yeah.
To a point when they bring it up, they're like, "Well, it was a movie."
So the best parts of Last Jedi.
I wouldn't distance myself from it. I would say we tried to do something different. We didn't necessarily succeed on how we would like to have, but we attempted to tell you guys a bit different of a narrative here.
Oh, I'm with you. I will always take someone who steps up to the plate and be like, "We made a mistake." But again, it's Disney, so God forbid they ever say they made a mistake on anything. Euro Disney California Adventures,
Song of the South.
Like that. Song of the South.
Actually, that came up in our last show.
I mean, Yo-Yo's right. I wish they would have came out and said, "Yeah, we made a second one." But Lena Kathleen Kennedy, again, she should be fired.
Yep.
She should have been. They should have been like, "Yeah, we let Ryan Johnson take the reins on it. That was a mistake. We learned from it, and we try to move on." But it's like you hear interviews with like J.J. Abrams, and he was like, "Well, we're going to try to bring back what was really good in The Force Awakens, and we're going to take stuff we learned from The Force Awakens and put on this movie." And like we said, like there's a movie in between that.
No, this is not a working lunch. They're supposed to present something that's finished,
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's not like Halloween 6 where you present a turd and then you cut the turd in half and you present a polished turd.
It sounds like Rise of Skywalker is a polished turd.
Yeah. So Last Jedi, if we dissect it in the best parts of the movie, and I know Yo-Yo, you enjoyed it, but for the most part, the training of Rey.
We all enjoyed it for parts.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. I think we all enjoyed parts of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Except for Brian. Brian was just like vengeful, angrily staring at Daisy Ridley, being like,
hurling things at the screen every time she showed up.
Had a little voodoo doll, and he's just.
Why aren't you dying?
Squinty McBandage arms, correct.
Yeah, he's just like, look at me.
I do have to say, rewatching it, I definitely got misty-eyed with Luke and Yoda talking. That scene really got to me.
I like that scene too. In retrospect, basically being like Yoda's like our job isn't to protect them. Our job is to teach them, and how we teach them is how we're going to continue forward. And I thought that interaction was very good. And like I said, there's the parts. Almost every scene with Mark Hamill in it was really good. Mark Hamill acted his ass off in some parts of that scene. I still believe watching that movie, again, watching it last night, the part where he's like, reach out, and she goes like this and reaches out, and then he takes the piece of grass and is like, you feel it? Do you feel that?
Yep.
I believe that was improvised. That just feels like Mark Hamill improvising on the spot.
That was
with
awesome.
Like Daisy Ridley.
Yep.
Because his voice changes. It's not Luke. It's like Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, I was like, okay, I like it. Especially when he's telling her like the story of what happened and like how Ben was and how he was doing, and then he changes the story and updates it. All that stuff is great, especially in the interaction with Kylo and him, like on the planet, Salt Planet. Sure, that was the name of it, like Salt Planet, or was it Salty Hoth? I don't know.
I mean, different atmospheres, things like that are bound to happen.
But I thought that was really cool, like their fight basically being like, you don't know anything, kid. Like, and the whole like, I'll be seeing you around. I'm like, that's awesome. That's pretty awesome. Like, that's cool. Like, Mark, like, you're awesome. Why aren't you in this movie more? Why weren't you in the first one?
Yep.
And then when he killed him off, and I'm sitting there being like, motherfucker. Like,
That's
again,
what pissed
also
me
you
off
got to
too.
realize too, in realizing this as we're talking about this is Carrie Fisher died halfway after post production of Last Jedi. This ninth movie was her movie. This is supposed to be about her and her arc. And I have a feeling the reason there's so much retconning of it is they didn't know what to do to continue that story.
Yeah, but she was so far gone, like as far as her physical condition. I don't know if she could carry a movie at this point.
Well,
No.
But again, but I'm just saying, like how Han was one of the focal points, Luke was a focal point. You have the overarching arc of the movie, but that was going to be her confronting Kylo and basically being like, I'm your mother, like, what are you doing? And according to multiple people, that she was the last Jedi. That was the whole point of her. She was the last true Jedi. Because I think in some promotional art, she shows her holding a lightsaber, like that Luke made for her, or she made one with Luke or something like that.
Promotional art lies.
No, it's actually her. But I mean, but it's actually her, like a photorealistic person.
Yeah.
But having her in this movie, I think is one of the reasons I think you got that fan service. You could have easily written her off in the opening crawl, having a funeral scene at the beginning of it, set that somber mood right off the bat, being like, they just got their ass kicked in the last movie. They're down to like 20 people. In the opening crawl, you could be like, the resistance is reeling. General Organa was assassinated, and then it pans down to the funeral. Like, that's something you could have done, and then you're not.
But was she really like a bitch like that, though?
Would it
well,
have?
It's better than her.
Go ahead.
It was better than doing the New Hope Rogue One really bad CGI face of Carrie Fisher.
Huh.
Would it
there's so many things you could have had her like pass away from. Like, why would you say like she got assassinated? I mean,
well, because I'm saying you wanted that spark of the resistance. What's a better way to unite the rest of the planet to someone who's known as a war hero?
But what if General Organa passed away from a opium overdose? That wouldn't have gone well, would it? But it would
I'm just saying that that's what they could have done, and not have her trying to find footage from two movies to make it fit this narrative. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to do that. No, they said they weren't. They said they weren't going to use stand-ins, and they weren't going to do CGI, and they weren't.
Well, I thought she
was.
Recap. I thought she had it in her will that she did not want to be CGI'd.
No, that was the decision of Lucasfilms.
Oh, okay. So, on the eve of Rise of Skywalker, final predictions, everybody. Let's start with you, Brian.
Billy D. Williams is being used. I guarantee his screen time will be 2 minutes or less. That's my prediction.
He was pretty pissed when we saw him at Terrificon.
Yeah.
Steven?
Well, knowing what I read, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to say it's probably going to be a dumpster fire. That's all.
Okay. Yo-Yo?
Baby Yoda will make an appearance somehow.
Yes. Baby Yoda. James?
The movie's going to make over $1 billion in its run. And then in 5 years, it's going to be relegated to. Remember that movie came out? And it's going to be one of those things that when you talk about Star Wars, you're still going to talk about the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I have another prediction. 10 years from the day that this the last Skywalker comes out, you're going to start hearing rumblings of a remake.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I also have another prediction. It's not relevant to the movie. It's relevant to the promotional material. So IGN a couple days ago posted a picture. You know how when Return of the Jedi came out and they did, it was the Revenge of the Jedi. It was a red poster and it was Darth Vader's face and you had Luke and Vader under it.
Mm-hmm.
they emulated the same thing for Rise of Skywalker. It was Kylo Ren's helmet and Luke and Rey fighting below it. Thinking back, Return of the Jedi was supposed to be the last film, and that was
Well,
20-something years apart.
it wasn't supposed to be the last film, because even back in the 80s there was talk of this being a 12-movie arc. And I remember in grade school thinking, "Oh my God, we're gonna get 12 Star Wars movies." But please,
Little did you know.
I know. Please continue, Stephen.
So I said to myself when I shared it, I said, so looking at the promo material for Return of the Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, and they're equally the same, come back to me in 20-something years and see if they use the same promo material for their last movie that they're going to say, quote, unquote, last. So if they do another movie and say it's the last, well, we'll see.
And when I said remake, I wasn't talking about remake of The Last Jedi. I mean, they're going to start with the New Hope remake from the beginning.
Will they do 4, 5, and 6, and then 1, 2, 3?
No, they're just going to do 4, 5, 6, and that's it.
4, 5, 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
James.
I mean, I think that with this end of this saga, and Disney and Lucasfilms have already come out and says they're basically getting rid of the trilogy format moving forward. That proper storytelling cannot be confined. It should not be confined to a 3-act structure via movies. That you can tell a story in one movie or in a limited series or something. So they basically said multiple times that they're kind of abandoning the trilogy structure for their movies. So I do believe that this trilogy has done good and bad for the franchise. I think it's good because Disney has control of it and Disney's pushed their own agenda with it to make themselves more money, as well to get the Star Wars brand even larger and more in our pop culture zeitgeist than it was beforehand. But it also pulled back the storytelling of this universe because of what they've done with the canon. So I think it's that kind of the double-edged sword with this, and I think the only way you're going to recover from this, or this franchise can recover, is going to be with stuff like The Mandalorian and stuff that's coming out on Disney Plus and the books and stuff like that. Because they're saying there'll be no new Star Wars even movies until 2022. We're going to take that nice long break from Star Wars movies in the theaters, and I'm very curious. Like I said, I try to be optimistic about the movie. I hope it's good. I hope it's a definitive ending. Which that's the other side I've heard in reviews is it's a good ending. It ends the series the right way. So I'm curious. I'm really, because other than The Mandalorian, Star Wars doesn't have really a lot of stuff going on, even because Galaxy's Edge is kind of limping along. So
yeah,
see what happens.
Hashtag please don't suck. Yeah, I hope it is good. I don't want to say too much because of what I was spoiled.
Same.
Yeah. So,
I think with that note, Leo.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say anything else.
You know something.
Okay, so
I think we should let it to our audience to see it and get back to us.
Totally. Yeah. So we're gonna regroup after we all see this, and then have a nice long discussion or a
group cry.
Start our own support group.
Or a big
I'll bring the Ewok doll.
Or a big rage fire. We'll just start a fire and just burn everything.
Which
If you want, I can either bring the Ewok or I have a Porg, and you can just say,
bring them both and let them fight.
Huh?
Bring them both and let them fight.
the Ewok and the Porg.
Yeah. So which Ewok is that? Because it doesn't look like Wicket.
It is Wicket.
That's Wicket? His face is too light for
Yes,
Wicket.
a little. Oh my God! I forget. Like you, really? It's a stuffed animal from Disney. Like Harrison loves this little guy. Like I'm just gonna let my son love Wicket.
Okay.
He loves Star Wars. We've been watching a bunch of them. He'll sit on my knee and he's just like.
So.
But we watch other things and he's just like. I put Star Wars on and he's just like. All right, I'll just keep watching Star Wars with you, dude.
You're teaching him well. You're teaching him well.
Well, because Leo has graciously been giving me the access to the original unaltered versions of Star Wars, we've watched the unaltered versions of Star Wars.
Yeah, I was never mind. I'll wait till after the show.
Yeah, you give me a thumb drive and I'll hook you up, Steven.
She heard unaltered versions of Star Wars and had to come over.
If you want to see unaltered versions of Star Wars, besides finding a Laserdisc version or the DVD,
VHS.
Well,
We did create a time machine, so I mean,
we did.
we're charging $20,000 a pop.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you that that don't know, for the longest time, and actually still is, except for another version, the definitive copy is the Laserdisc. The DVD is actually a rip of the Laserdisc. So the Laserdisc is actually still the best one that you can buy. But there's a gentleman that devoted 4 years of his time to make something called the Harmy edition of Star Wars, where he took meticulously cut versions from the Blu-ray with the Lucas edits and then the Laserdisc and made the definitive edition of Star Wars. So if you Google Harmy edition, there's instructions on how to rip it and how to make it. He doesn't take any money from it, so you just have to find your way on the interwebs on how to get it. Angela says, I have the original Star Wars on Laserdisc. Same here, but definitely, Angela, check out the Harmy edition. You will not be let down. But I want to end this on a note. James, you said you have a new order of your favorites. Or where did the Star Wars movies fall in line for you after your recent rewatch?
So it goes with Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi.
Wait, are these best or worse? How are you going?
In order from top to bottom. Best to worst.
Best. Revenge of the Sith. Oh, okay.
I think you broke Leo.
Okay, Revenge of the Sith.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Rogue One.
Okay.
Empire.
Okay.
The original Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Force Awakens.
Okay.
Episode 1 and 2, put them in either way, doesn't matter. They're both terrible. Last Jedi, Solo. And I'm putting Revenge of the Sith as a caveat with an asterisk because everybody's brain just broke when I said that. Is I watched that movie independently of watching episode 1 and 2 beforehand. So I watched that movie by itself randomly one afternoon and just watched it from start to finish. By itself, and this is why I categorize it, it's one of the top movies, is by itself, that is a good movie.
But Frankenstein Vader.
It tells a better story than Last Jedi.
Okay. That's true. That's true.
So watching it from start to finish, and some of the scenes in that are still awesome. The Legend of Darth Plagueis, that the confrontation with the Jedi, Order 66, that type of stuff is really good. It helps build the lore of Star Wars better than a lot of the new stuff that's been out there. And the good thing about I've always felt about Star Wars is it has unbelievably good lore, in which the canon stuff helped build that they got rid of. And so when you get rid of your core of lore from these movies and rewrite it to fit your narrative, you are going to fall so hard on your face, and that's what these movies have done so far. And because now you're literally just picking what fans like out of the Legend stuff or the original canon. Like, they brought Grand Admiral Thrawn and put him in Rebels. Like, you pulled out like some of the names of the kids, that the Solo kids and the Skywalker kids, and they've made them, and like, you either got to live with the canon that was already there or get rid of it. Like, you can't walk that line. So that's why also too, that was the last movie in which you had that original canon down.
Yep.
So.
Speaking of Rebels, now this is something I don't know as a spoiler, so I have no idea whatsoever. But the voice actor for Ashoka was photographed at the premiere.
Yeah, everybody was at that premiere. I think anybody who had a pulse and was in a Star Wars movie would be there.
Well, she just...
There's a bunch of Mandalorian people there, too.
Okay.
Baby Yoda was there. Like, come on.
Baby Yoda was there? Oh. Well, James, I'm gonna rewatch them, and I'm gonna look through it with your eyes and see if.
I'm telling you, Leo, the best thing you can do is don't watch these movies in order. Watch them how you want. Because the thing now is, now that all 9 are out there, and that's why I go by the listing, is what movie can you watch you can just throw on and watch.
Yeah.
I can watch episode 3 multiple times and be happy with it. I can watch Return of the Jedi multiple times and be happy. I don't need to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 to watch A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to watch, anything leading up to the Return of the Jedi. I can just watch Return of the Jedi. It might be different when I watch it with Harrison and how we're going to watch it. At that point in time, I would watch it in order so he gets the whole story, or in the correct order, which is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hopefully that's not how he learns how numbers go.
Nope. But at the same time, it's one of those things where that's where my ranking comes from now. Is I can put that movie on and have it in the background and not want to change the channel, and I can sit down and watch it and be entertained. So. And I think, and I think now with this, and especially with the Marvel, all the movies Marvel, everyone's like, we're gonna watch them from beginning to end. You don't need to do that anymore. Like, you can watch whatever movie you want to watch and just watch it.
Yep.
So.
Well, especially with the arc complete, it's really no need to rewatch them all in a row now.
Pick out your favorites and go forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, we are on the eve of Rise of Skywalker, and join us on our next episode as we are either in a support group, patching up our wrists, or leaping for joy. I want to thank you all for watching. Make sure you head on over to thedorkening.com for all the shows on the network and these awesome people here. Brian, where do you like people following you?
Laser.yoga. Laser.yoga. It's a website. Go there.
And Laser Cats?
What was that, James?
Laser Cats?
Laser Cats?
No, laser.yoga. Not laser cats.
And if you have an issue with the going there, just check the show notes down below or up above. I got a link right there to bring you there. Steven.
So you can find Super Retro Throwback Reviews on all social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Super Retro Throwback Reviews, our audio podcast, you can find on all major podcasts and distributors and the Dorkening Podcast Network. December 30th is our season finale of our audio podcast before we start our 6th season premiere next year. So stay tuned for that. Also, we have a new podcast we're going to be debuting. So we're bringing you 2 new podcasts. It's called CSI The Vegas Files. You can find that on the Dorkening Podcast Network as well. James or Yo-Yo?
Yo-Yo.
You can find me at Boy Meets Phone on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, Yo Saint Laurent on those same social media channels. And you can find me here. James?
So I wanted to share this one. My little thing is now, if you have an Alexa, you can tell her to play The Dorkening on Apple Podcasts, and it will.
Oh, awesome!
Surrey too.
So, yep. So if you say, I'm not going to say it, or say like I haven't, but I'll use another name like Amazon, play The Dorkening on Apple Podcasts, it will pull up The Dorkening and play The Dorkening.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, James. I thought you...
Amazon, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop.
Also Surrey, because Apple just released their, you can tell Surrey to do it too. So
I thought you were gonna say Alexa.
Steve, it's Siri, not Tom Cruise's daughter. Okay.
Siri.
Siri.
I thought you were gonna do something like this. Alexa, tell Sam to tell me a joke.
Because of course I say something and all the speakers in my apartment go off. No, so
that's why I don't mention Google.
Yeah.
Alexa, stop. I thought you were going to do this. Hold on one second. Alexa, ask Sam to tell me a joke.
Oh.
Anyway,
yep.
you can follow me at A Dork Physique on Instagram and Facebook. Also, my personal at Longtime Storm for the tweets and the Instagrams. And we definitely want to hear from you about your experience with Rise of Skywalker. So hopefully Leo will put up a poll sometime on the weekend to get your yays or nays reaction from our wonderful audience.
Totally. And if you want to get that on your Alexa, just ask Alexa to introduce you to Sam. So just say, Alexa, introduce me to Sam. And there is a 99-cent charge, though. And they will ask you if you want explicit Sam or not explicit Sam. So
and
of course,
you want explicit Sam.
Hell yes.
Yes.
This is Amazon Alexa, motherfucker. I want to thank you.
Sick and tired of this guy.
I want to thank you all for watching. And again, hashtag please don't suck. Follow these awesome people here. I absolutely love you guys.
Be sure to also follow Alex. I was going to mention it, but I figured James would get that one.
Yes.
What was that?
Alex.
Yes.
Follow Alex Hoy, Hoey. And he does awesome artwork. Check out his Patreon as well. And with that, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.